easy for people to gain access to knowledge from people from all around the world. So we are on a mission to build a total global knowledge sharing platform. And we want to make it as easy to have a conversation with someone as it is to buy a product online. And one of the missions that we're striving to do is actually to facilitate 10 million conversations between the world's people. And the reason why we want to do that is because we believe that conversations between people create global empathy, human connection, innovation, ideas, they unlock opportunity, and that they introduce new opportunities to both parties that didn't exist before conversation had. So conversations are really our currency. And we've been working on this idea for the last about 4 to 5 years. And right now we have thousands of brains on the platform from over 88 countries who have signed up to start moving over into this new economy that we call the knowledge economy. And yeah, we're really excited. This year is growing faster than we've ever grown. And we brought the concept to Pakistan for the first time this year, which has been really quite an interesting experience. And we find Pakistan is just like such an interesting country to bring this concept into for a number of reasons.
Well, very awesome idea you of your website and conversation. So, how you start the idea and where the idea comes to your mind and you start sparkling and uh, motivated and very going towards your mission?
Yeah, really good question. So the idea started, I've always known that the value of a conversation has added, every time I was able to talk to someone really meaningfully, it unlocked a lot of value in my life. Every time I was able to talk to someone that was on a path that I wanted to be on, or I met someone from a different country, or I just got to dive in with someone really deep, I realized all throughout my life how much I learned through conversation. With some really good questions and access to someone's attention, you can unlock a whole bunch of value. And so I always knew that existed. I also realized how much knowledge people had to share. People have so much lived experiences to pass on. And I started to realize when my mom was retiring, she told me she didn't know how to pass her knowledge back down. And I thought, whoa, that's not a good thing. Like, when we finish our life, it should be very easy to pass down our knowledge. That should be a normal thing that we do, and that should be easy. What is the point of pursuing so much without the opportunity to share it with others? Another thing that kind of was floating in my head before I had like conceptualized the idea of Pick My Brain was that we got to stop buying stuff. You know, there's 8 billion people on this planet, and we just are constantly buying things which are really not good for the environment. And I had been an environmental economist for a number of years, and I realized that one of the only ways that we're going to shift outside of the situation we find ourselves in is if we reduce the amount of things we buy. And so I thought, you know, you can buy and sell knowledge without having an impact on the planet. And so all these things, right? The value of a conversation, the value of connecting with another person, the challenge of sharing your knowledge when you have a lot, and knowledge commerce as a concept kind of all swirled around. And then one day I was really, Airbnb really motivated me because they set the model in my head in that you could monetize a shared asset and create a marketplace and allow buyers and sellers to come together and exchange that asset. They created a new category. And so I thought, my thought was, I wonder if I could sell conversations and knowledge, something that's just sitting in my mind, in the same way that Airbnb shared and sold a space that was just sitting in my house. And that thought didn't leave me. I just kept thinking about, well, I wonder if I could sell conversations. Can conversations be bought and sold as much as anything else on the internet? And so I had to go test that. As an entrepreneur, you know that in order to validate that something is possible, you got to go test the market. And so full circle, I went back onto Airbnb. They had just launched experiences, and I decided to test to see if people would pay me to have a conversation with me. Because I thought, if people are willing to pay me to have a conversation, people are willing to pay other people to have a conversation, because I'm not that special. And so I packaged an offer, and it was called Coffee and Conversation with a Startup Founder. Let's talk about the future of work and the future of education. And it was basically an offer that anybody in the world could book me for. And so I listed it and I posted it and I said, okay, let's see. Will people pay for this? Because if they will, I'm on to something. Turns out 60 people from around the world booked and paid me to have a coffee and a conversation with me. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And
that's awesome.
It was so cool, because all that I was selling was my company, my ability to talk with someone about my experiences, about my ideas, about their ideas, and all these strangers who didn't know me had an opportunity to have time with me, because it was formalized, right? It was a payment. So we both showed up on time. We both knew the container. And it wasn't the money that I made from that offer that unlocked everything. It was the value of those conversations that they brought to both of our lives, right? These complete strangers entered as strangers and left as friends. And the relationships that formed as a result of this $50 conversation opened up far more value than the $50 that they spent. I always say in a lot of interviews, that the first person that booked me ended up becoming my first employee. The second person that booked me ended up writing my first investment check of $50,000. The third person that booked me, I ended up falling in love with. And then I had all these other bookings that gave me this global network. And it wasn't, like I said, like after you have a conversation with someone, you feel very close. And so these people, by the time we were done our conversations, they're like, you should come to my country. You should come and I'll host you. And so it was like this offer, it put $50 in my pocket, and it turned into so much more. And when I finished that experiment, I said, this is something. I am going to put my life into making sure that everyone can do this, because I believe in a world where I should be able to have a coffee and conversation with anybody. What an exciting idea is it if I could sit down and have a coffee and conversation with an artist or a teacher or a lawyer or a grandma or a student, and just live in their presence, and for a moment in time exchange knowledge. And if we could all do that with each other, we could create a new economy that's based on understanding how much value we have to offer one another simply by having a conversation. Yeah.
Well, awesome. I appreciate you. You are the example for those who didn't work for the success and say it's very difficult, it's very difficult, it's very difficult. But you are the example. You are the example that you think and you apply on your success goal. You practice it, and you can now seek the world and start earning from your website. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And well, some of my viewers are asking how can they also earn money from your websites. So could you
So,
tell about that?
yeah, I am going to start that answer by saying money is not the first thing that we're interested at Pick My Brain. If you're interested in just making money, go to Fiverr and Upwork. Okay? That's different. Pick My Brain, number 1 is about connecting with individuals deeply. Okay? So I just want to lead with that. People at Pick My Brain are very relationship based. But for those who are interested in monetizing their knowledge, we have a few ways to do that on Pick My Brain. Number 1, you have to submit a profile for review and get accepted by our team. So what is a Pick My Brain profile? How do you get accepted into Pick My Brain to build a profile? Well, at Pick My Brain, our profiles dive into who you are. Okay, what do you know a lot about? What are you passionate about? How many things can I talk to you when I go for coffee with you? Can I talk to you about politics? Can I talk to you about the environment? Can I talk to you about ChatGPT? What can you
Yeah.
offer me, right? I want to know what you know a lot about. And then I want to know how you can help me as well. What are all the different ways that you and I could help each other? So for me, on Pick My Brain, I let people know that I'm open for a wide variety of types of conversations, but I can also help people package and price their knowledge. So other people might be able to help you build a website or, interview you and create content or write a story about you that you can use on LinkedIn or work with you for 3 months to support your business. There are so many ways to package and price your knowledge. So you got to get really clear as to how you can help. Okay. And why are you the person to do that help? So once you get really clear, you build a Pick My Brain profile, you submit it for review, and our team will look over it to see if it's good enough. You got to put a lot of time into a Pick My Brain profile. It's like submitting a university application. Then once you get approved, then you can decide which of our offers you want to opt into. Okay, so we have a few set offers that we've seen work really well on the market. One of them is just a straight up, we ask every brain to gift 10 free sessions. Okay, so we came back and we said, lead with a gift first. Because people, right, you got to book me because I have 10 free sessions every month that I allow anybody in the world access. Okay, and beyond that, I charge. So first you have to be able to gift. Second, then you think of ways to monetize. So can someone pay you for 60 minutes of conversations where they can just ask you questions about anything you know? If so, then you can turn on our Pick My Brain call. You can also turn on a coffee and conversation. Over COVID, we changed that to a virtual coffee and conversation, but I imagine in the future, it'll come back into person someday. Maybe you're available to mentor young professionals for a small fee. Okay, maybe a student might want to call you 10 times to work on their resume or their career or just to have some guidance. That's another way you could sell. As a freelancer, you might also be able to sell a package of time. Okay, so on Upwork and Fiverr, you do tasks, but on Pick My Brain, I would buy a basket of time from you. So I'm like, okay, I'll buy 10 hours of your time to get your support doing something that I need help with. So it's really about, you got to get really creative with thinking about which offers you're best suited for, what value someone can get for you, and then seeing if the market responds. And Pick My Brain helps you do that, but you also have to drive your own demand as well. So in a summary, there's so many ways to package and price and sell your knowledge. The best way to start is by giving first, finding out what people are interested in, and then monetizing something after that. So it's a bit of a journey. But we believe that the more popular Pick My Brain gets, we will be able to say, hello, entire world. Did you know that you could have a conversation with anyone around the world about anything for $50? That's a new form of entertainment. That's a new form of education. That's a new form of connection. And we standardize the price so everyone gets paid $50. And they can make
That's
money
cool.
sharing energy. Yeah.
That's cool. So, viewers, this is Maxine, and thank you for coming in my session, and thank you for connecting with me and other people's.
Can I
I
ask
hope
you
you
one
will.
question before we go?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
hope
Okay.
you will.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah,
I want to ask, can I ask you one question before we sign off?
yeah, yeah.
So, when you booked me, you tried Pick My Brain. So tell me from your perspective, what is Pick My Brain? What was it like booking me? What did it give you the opportunity to do?
Pick My Brain is basically a website which is doing great in connecting peoples and giving you a bundle of knowledge in every field of life, and every field of life, and empower you, motivates you, and have a success plan, mentors, which is very good for your success. They guide you, and you will success soon. This
That's
is
wonderful. Beautiful.
well,
Yeah.
viewers. This is Maxine, and thank you for coming. Maxine, could you brief? Could you give me a small review of this session?
A small review?
Of this session.
Like what I thought about it?
Well, this is connecting peoples, and I am connecting with peoples, and this session is all about connect with Muhammad Ali.
Okay. Well, I think it's really important. I think anyone that interviews people and shares that live is a very important thing to do. So I think what you're doing is great. You're amplifying the interviews. I hope someday that all Pick My Brain sessions are live so anybody can watch them. Right? How does one ask someone questions? How do they have a conversation? So that's really good. And I know it was really short and sweet, but I bet you there's so many topics we could go back and forth in and just have a bit more of a conversation about. Like, I would love to know your thoughts about Pakistan and how Pick My Brain can help people from Pakistan. I'd love to know how you imagine monetizing your knowledge so we can have an engaging conversation back and forth and apply it to your audience. But I think the more you interview people, like I loved how you said Pick My Brain is for all fields of people. And it's true. So I think you can make your show continuously so interesting. And I love that you booked me and asked me to go live. So I think once a week, if you book someone on Pick My Brain for a free session and ask them to go live with you and came up with some really good questions, your show would get more and more interesting. So I really appreciate you taking the initiative to book me and be
Thank
like, we're
you,
going live for this session.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, okay, viewers, we are going to end this session, and very thanks for Maxine to giving his pure knowledge to me and you.
You're
Uh,
welcome.
we will soon do other bookings in futures with Maxine, inshallah.
And
Okay,
other brands.
Maxine.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Assalamualaikum. Thank you so
Allah
much.
Hafiz.
Okay. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.